The last time you saw us, we were in the northeast corner of Florida checking out things to do around St. Augustine. After 5 weeks, we're finally saying goodbye to Florida, or at least that's what we thought, and crossing the border into St. Mary's, Georgia. We'll stop by the visitor center before checking into our base camp, Crooked River State Park. Opened in 1947 and nestled in the south bank of the Crooked River, this 500-acre park is gorgeous. The park has 63 campsites and 4 cottages. The spots are nicely spaced, and we should be pretty comfortable here. The big attraction for visiting here was going to be Cumberland Island National Seashore. There's a ferry ride that takes you to the island. You can also pay to take your bikes along and bike the island. This sounded so cool to me. Although it was a bit pricey, I was really looking forward to going, but my lack of planning ahead and some uncooperative weather ruined my plans. This is a popular activity, and the times that were available with good weather weren't going to work out. So I was really disappointed. To ease my pain, we headed out early to St. Mary's to catch a good sunrise because those never disappoint. The town began as a small maritime community focusing on fishing, shipping, and trade. In the 1950s, a Gilman paper mill had a major impact in the community. In the 1980s, it saw the beginning of a military town with Kings Bay Naval Base established. The base employs roughly 10,000 people. That's a big impact for a town whose population is about 18,000. But why do people come here? Well, access to Cumberland Island certainly is a draw, but the town itself is quaint, and the beautiful St. Mary's River is a stone's throw away from the Atlantic Ocean. We enjoyed walking and driving around, and we had an incredible breakfast at this little place. Shout out to them for great service and exceptional food. Using our bikes to investigate a park is a great way to see a lot of area. 4 miles of nature trails wind through the forest and salt marshes.
Daisies blooming, sundress swaying in the breeze. I can't stop staring. You've put a spell on me, and I hope that you never decide to set me free. The way you're moving, it's got me moving my own feet. The greatest feeling that I could ever dare to dream is you forever moving next to me. Let's not waste time, or take this slow. We've got miles behind us, but miles to go. So let's just break this down to the simplest truth. You and I as one will always be better than two. The leaves ain't waiting, their colors changing like the times. And I'm taking, darling, would you be mine? And I hope you know I will love you for the rest of my life. Let's not waste time, or take this slow. We've got miles behind us, but miles to go. So let's just break this down to the simplest truth. You and I as one will always be better than two.
We didn't see any wildlife in the observation tower, but there were a number of gopher tortoises at our campsite. Just down the road from Crooked River State Park and across the road from the entrance to Kings Bay Naval Base is the McIntosh Sugar Mills, also known as the Tabby Ruins. There's little signage here to tell you about the ruins, but from our time in Bulow Plantation Ruins Historic State Park in Flagler, Florida, we learned about the thriving sugar plantations in the area starting in the 1700s. This mill was built in the 1820s. Heading back into Florida has caused me to reflect on welcome signs when you enter a new state. If there was a competition, Florida would definitely win. I also love that they thank you for visiting the state too. Parks that combine nature's beauty and historical locations are my jam. I love them. Entering Fort Clinch State Park is quite the experience.
Just the two of you?
Mm-hmm.
The roads are filled with low-hanging oaks and abundance of bikers. It may be a bit of a nightmare for RVers, but it's pretty spectacular. To enter the fort, we went to the visitor center and bought tickets. The entrance starts at a small museum that gives you some background of the fort. The Pentagon-shaped brick fort, fortified with both inner and outer walls, was a safe haven for blockade runners during the Civil War. It was occupied by the Confederate forces for a time, then recaptured by Federal troops in early 1862, giving the Union control of the adjacent Georgia and Florida coasts. It was designed to garrison 500 soldiers and 78 pieces of artillery. The channel here is dredged periodically, and unsearched sand is pumped onto the beaches. The hubs did some searching and found a shark's tooth. We're contending with a bit of rain, so we needed something to do inside. We had already toured a submarine in Galveston, Texas, but I convinced the Hubs that we should check out the Submarine Museum in St. Mary's. Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base down the road is East Coast home port for the Ohio-class Fleet ballistic missile and guided missile submarines. It's the only naval base capable of supporting the Trident II missiles. We had lunch at the same restaurant we told you about earlier. Lunch was just as good as breakfast. Definitely a win. Then we checked out a thrift store. The Hubs is always looking for a bargain, you know. I'd seen a nearby town advertised using the words like historic, red brick sidewalks, magical streetlights, quaint. We loved St. Mary's, so we thought we'd check it out. Have you ever felt like you were sucked into clever advertising? We did, but the chai tea I had there was pretty good. We're always looking for a great sunrise view. The water does something magic to the early morning light. We also learned some valuable information about our planned paddle. Georgia has the largest tidal amplitude in the southeast. It's very important that paddlers monitor tidal charts prior to a trip. When we talked to a ranger about this, he said going out at the wrong time can leave you stranded for a very long time until the tide changed. Again, the timing wasn't right, so we canceled our plans. No matter how much you plan, some things just don't work out, and sometimes you're glad it doesn't. Oh, I didn't forget that I promised to let you know how our tick situation turned out. We're still picking ticks. The Hubs is up to 7, and the ant infestation, it's ongoing too. Join us next time as we continue up the coast and visit Savannah and the surrounding areas.
The next dog I get's gonna be either named Timex or Rolex. I need a good watchdog.